Hi everyone, my name is Evelyn Urincho, and today I will be talking about the challenges and opportunities faced by Chicano youth in the education system. Okay, so as we know from what we've learned in class so far, we know how immigrants, undocumented immigrants, have been impacted from the racism in America and how that also has impacted Chicanos themselves. From impossible subjects, undocumented immigrants are at once welcome and unwelcome. They are woven into the economic fabric of the nation, but is as labor that is cheap and disposable. So basically, this is just kind of like a statement on how it is because we live here and we contribute and we do our part, but we're still facing discrimination still. And despite that, another quote from this source: ethno-racial minority groups pursue social inclusion, making claims of belonging and engaging with society, irrespective of formal status. And I think that's just like an indicator of, specifically in this context that we're talking about educational struggles. We will be talking about how we still persist despite all the barriers that we're facing. So moving on to those challenges, according to Daniel G. Solorzano and Tara J. Yoso, unfortunately, no matter how one measures educational outcomes, Chicana and Chicano students do not perform as well as whites. And that's just not like a statement. It's actually like a statistical fact, and it's based around a long list of things that contribute to that. And we know that's true because out of 100 Chicano elementary school students, only 2 will ultimately graduate from a 4-year university, and of those 2, only 1 will graduate with a doctorate degree. The other one graduating from grad school. But those numbers are pretty scary in themselves, honestly. And it makes you think, what exactly are the things that are contributing to that? Well, the truth is that the educational opportunities and conditions are not the same for all elementary through post-secondary students. And research has actually shown that the curriculum is not the same between these schools. And there could be a lot of things that contribute to that, such as lack of enrichment, that the curriculum themselves reinforces stereotypes. There's slower instruction, lack of variety in subjects. These schools are generally less funded, and there's lack of quality in academic programs. So as for the opportunities that we can have for Chicano students to succeed, in education, there are programs that exist that could help students, get ahead and use their resources and everything. Gives them access to people who are also coming from the same background and also have the same goals. It kind of helps when you see other people that look like you and who are like you accomplishing the same thing. So that's a good support group. So what is academic invulnerability? So Sylvia Alva defined academically invulnerable students as those who sustain high levels of achievement, motivation, and performance, despite the presence of stressful events and conditions that place them at risk of doing poorly in school and ultimately dropping out of school. So this quote kind of resonated with me because it kind of reminded me of how I've faced struggles as a Chicano student. And I've faced barriers, whether it was money, it was my parents' language barrier, it was my economic status, just stuff like that. And I still persisted. And basically, like, here it's talking about an attitude that us Chicano students have, that we want to prove people wrong and that we want to get ahead. And I think, having that is one of the things that motivates Chicano students to keep going forward. Another one of those things is that we can pass on our knowledge to the future generation if we pursue higher education. When I started school, I had no one to help me out. I had to figure everything out on my own. And this kind of takes me to like our next point, because Sorsano and Yoso do like a really good storytelling method to engage the readers and give them examples of people that have gone through this exact same thing. And that kind of like leads me to like my next like bullet point about critical race theory. So basically what critical race theory, it's a movement, and it's like a thing that seeks to account for the role of race and racism in the US, and to challenge the many forms of subordination, such as gender and class discrimination. Using critical race theory, it's one of the things that makes it so that it's acknowledged the type of, thing that people go through. And using critical race theory, especially in ethnic studies or from ethnic studies, has been one of the things that makes it so that we get equal opportunities in education. Now, kind of like a last like mental note, on the topic of equity and equality, when we're talking about equality, I think it's important to know that those two are not the same. That creation of programs alone isn't enough, because even though these programs exist, data also like found that even though they have access to these things, Chicano students still steer away from them, and then ultimately don't pursue higher education or end up dropping out of school. So I think there needs to be like further support. We need to reevaluate the curriculum and offer like more access to people who can give us advice on this type of stuff, like a counselor or something like that. And like we are already kind of seeing like the results of like the years of ethnic studies and the years of movements and stuff, because just this last year the Chicano students enrolled in higher education percentage is 56.1%, which is literally more than half of the whole like enrollment compared to like other races or like other minorities and stuff. And these are my sources. And yeah, that concludes my presentation. Thank you. Bye.